Lungowe's story: Gender Empowerment in Rural Zambia. Chapter 1: Introduction. This is a story about Lungowe, a 13-year-old girl who lives in Sikumbi, a rural community in the western province of Zambia. Her name means beautiful in the Lozi language. Before her 10th birthday, she lost both her parents to HIV/AIDS. They died within a short time of one another, leaving her alone, afraid, and at the mercy of others. Out of obligation, her aunt and uncle took her into their home. As they already have 3 children of their own and struggle to pay for food, school fees, and daily necessities, she is their lowest priority. Lungowe was left feeling neglected and grieved the loss of her parents with little support. Her aunt and uncle send her to school when it is possible, but only intermittently, as they require her to help with household tasks and look after the younger children. One day, during the dry season, her aunt sent Lungowe to the neighboring village to fetch water. There she met a man who took interest in her. He made her feel special, like she was the only girl in the world. He promised her gifts and future marriage. It was not long before he began pressuring her to have sex with him. Lungowe did not receive education about sexual reproductive health or the consequences of unprotected sex. Shortly after her encounter with this man, Lungowe began to feel different and sometimes sick, but she did not know why. She went to a health clinic and they informed her that she was pregnant. Shamed by her family, she felt scared and alone. She was told by her elders that it was her own fault for becoming pregnant because she did not make wise choices. The community health worker who identified Lungowe's pregnancy recognized that she would require long-term psychological support and health education. Coordination with Safe Motherhood Action Group was key to a healthy pregnancy and delivery and to empower her to make healthy choices in the future. The community health worker took compassion on Lungowe and felt something must be done to help girls like her in the future. In the monthly meeting between SMAG and the leaders of the community, male and female, an agenda was set forth that included the following issues: recognizing young girls are vulnerable and at risk of HIV, sexual violence, unwanted and complicated pregnancies, and early school dropout. They developed a plan to engage community stakeholders to educate and raise awareness starting from early childhood around these issues. The next visit by the community health worker was a home visit to engage Lungowe's aunt in the conversation. She said to Lungowe's aunt, "Without proper education and support, young girls like Lungowe are at risk of increased maternal mortality, reduced social and economic opportunities, and ultimately a cycle of poverty and poor health outcomes." Her aunt was supportive and receptive to this conversation, as she also has a young female daughter and wants what's best for her children and future grandchildren. Chapter 2: Reproductive Health and Empowerment. A local women's empowerment committee was formed who included members of the SMAG, YWCA, school teachers, adolescent girls and boys, and traditional community leaders. Through their influence, they hope to educate the entire community about women's issues. Most importantly, a woman's ability to control her own fertility is fundamental to empowerment and equity. Traditionally, girls are married young in exchange for wealth. This leaves girls with little or no social and economic power. Young mothers face more pregnancy-related problems that lead to negative health outcomes and increased mortality. Access to family planning and the right to control when and how frequently they become pregnant is critical to empowering women. The committee launched a campaign to promote and support the development of a new curriculum for gender empowerment and reproductive health education in schools. The goal of this curriculum is to change attitudes through a variety of methods: arts-based learning, videos, focus group discussions, role-playing, simulations, and reflections. A support group was born out of the findings of Focus Group for Youth with a trusted and respected female member in the community as a support. The support group is inspired to raise awareness about the matters that affect them in their community. To share the importance of these issues with others, the group raises awareness by enacting monthly dramas on the various issues: HIV/AIDS, effects of family violence on youth, impacts of education, and why it is important to delay getting married and having sex. Chapter 3: The Power of Policy Change. Lungowe's story caught the hearts and minds of local elites and leading health workers in Sukhumbi, partly because of the publicity the local media gave to both Lungowe's story and the broader problem of teenage pregnancy and HIV in the western province of Zambia. As a result, different advocacy coalitions began the process of influencing the local government to change major government policies that negatively affect teenage girls. The most monumental policy change in this regard was the educational policy that allowed teenage girls to return to school after childbirth. Another area of policy change that resulted from Lungowe's story was that the local government decided to enforce the legal age of sexual consent. Furthermore, the traditional authorities in Sukhumbi in the Western Province also collaborated with different advocacy groups to find ways of changing socio-cultural practices that make men to perceive women as objects of sexual comfort. More so, community leaders brought the story of how the SMAG initiative and other advocacy networks in the Western Province were helpful in precipitating change to their local MP. It added to her knowledge of what could be done through community-based organizations such as SMAG, and several months later contributed to her vote in support of legislation to provide resources to sustain these CBOs for years to come. Chapter 4: Conclusion. As a result of the help she received from SMAG, Lungowe was able to safely deliver her baby girl, who she named Grace, and learned how to care for a young infant. When Grace is a little bit older, Lungowe will be able to return to school and continue her education. Through the education she receives, she will learn how to delay future pregnancies until she is older and ready for more children. With an ongoing commitment of the community, local committees, local government, and national government, young girls like Lungowe will have a better opportunity to understand and control their own destinies and health outcomes in the future. The end.